So, Tony, let's do one. I know we both have hard stops here in a minute. So, just because all our listeners, or at least almost all our listeners, are Brazilian, let's give them a little bit of fodder. So, Tony, I know you've traveled a lot and that you have traveled, not sure everywhere you've been in Brazil, but I know you traveled through Brazil. What's something that draws you or attracts you to Brazil or to Portuguese, and maybe a favorite place that you have in Brazil or
Cool.
city?
I have been to Salvador when I was a little kid. We had a foreign exchange student from Salvador, named Ana Paula, and she's been a long-time friend of my family's, and I've gone and visited her in Salvador. And then I was in Rio for that documentary with Connor, where we went and learned some Portuguese.
Oh, yeah, I just watched it last week. Yeah, it was good.
So, yeah, love both of those places. What attracts me to Brazil? I mean, I could probably, the list can probably go on and on. What attracts me to Portuguese, this is an answer that I like to give often, which is, so as a sort of language nerd and language file, right? I find that the texture of Portuguese is super cool. And I find that the texture of Portuguese and the sort of shape that it makes, sort of synesthetically, is awesome. A lot of languages are too. I love Spanish as well, but Portuguese has a little special something. And the way that I like to illustrate that is this: if you consider the word song in Spanish, it's canción.
Yeah.
And for me, that has an angular, it goes up and then down, canción. It's like maybe a little bit of wiggle for the like the diphthong, but it's mainly angular, right? The plural, canciones, is also made of straight lines for me. It goes canciones.
Yeah.
Portuguese is very curvy, right? Instead of canción, canção, like it's got this curve.
Yeah.
And then when we go into the plural of canção, which we all know as canções, we get a complete loop-de-loop. Complete flip.
It's the technical term. There's a loop-de-loop after in the plural form.
So imagine a language made up of loop-de-loops.
Yeah. I think
cool.
that's a cool way to put like the beauty of Portuguese, because we both speak Spanish, and I've never thought about it being like a more angular geometric, but it's definitely more like, you can start going up and down, but there always seems to be a structure to like the intonation a little bit.
Right.
Whereas in Brazilian Portuguese, it's just like a dance and you're just along for the ride.
Yes. And consider the way that canción is written and how canção, and especially canções, is written. We get a tilde over the what? Over the E or the O, right?
The
O. And then we get a cedilha under the C. That little cedilha, it's like a beard. And then the tilde is kind of like this, like basically the word itself looks like it's in like this sort of like carnival costume. Looks like it's doing like a samba thing. It's like just visually, it looks like it's dressed up.
Yeah, man. You never fail to give me new illustrations and mental visualizations to think about these things.
Good.
It's awesome.
Good.
Cool. So Tony, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you are always more than welcome and much appreciated.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I always have a good time.
Anything you want to give to our listeners in way of where to find you, free resources you have? I know you're full of them.
My website's langmatrix.com. That's LANGMATRIX, langmatrix.com.
Has that changed from TonyMarshMethod.com?
Yeah, I've sort of narrowed my focus into the matrix concept. I mean, it's always been that, but instead of it just being Tony Marsh Method, what is that? I'm focusing on the language matrix. We create conversation through structure. So yeah, it's that's the angle I've been going with lately. So it's Lang Matrix, and there's videos on there. There's free stuff. You can sign up for some free PDFs. I got a phrasal verbs book, which can be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I highly recommend people checking this out, because Tony has a weird ability to make very complex concepts extremely simple. So it doesn't matter if you're a super advanced language learner or you're just starting. I think all of your resources and just everything around you it kind of shakes things up, the way that you will approach languages in a really positive way.
Thank you. Thank you. My Skype, and I'm gonna go here. My Skype is Tony Marsh Method. And I have an open door type policy. I like to hear people reach out and say hi. So I'll just throw that out there as well.
Awesome. It's done. That means people have no excuses. You're putting them on the line.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So Tony, thanks again for being
Thank you.
Open and always just dropping knowledge, man.
It's totally my pleasure, Foster. Thank you.
Sweet. Well, I will talk to you soon. See you, Tony.
See you, man.